Good morning, Bob. How we doing on this lovely Wednesday?
We're here, we're alive, and we're breathing. What more can you ask for, my friend?
We're doing it, huh? I know it's kind of been a hectic week out there for everybody. I don't know. It seems like maybe volumes are down. Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, honestly, they are a little bit down. That map that you're showing right there looks pretty nice, but as far as what I'm seeing, loads aren't hard to get, but they're a little bit harder to find.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you do a lot of West Coast trucks, right? So you're moving a lot of trucks over here where there just hasn't been much change. If there is change, it's, not for the better, it's for the worse. And so that's probably
yeah,
why you're
yeah,
seeing it.
definitely.
So if you're on the West Coast, then you're kind of feeling the heat a little bit. I mean, still record volumes, but compared to what we have seen a little bit of a decrease there in.
Pulling loads from to Las Vegas for like out of Ontario, 200 miles, $1,400 on the regular.
Yeah,
So there's great money over there.
yeah,
Don't
good.
tell nobody though. I still need the loads.
I think you just told them, bro. Um,
Oh shoot.
yeah. Anyway, so what I'm looking at here is I'm looking at a weekly change here. I haven't seen you guys in a week. I've been out on vacation, so I'm back in the saddle. But I figured I would just do a weekly change in volumes and tender rejections, so that we can compare. So anywhere we're seeing red, we've seen a decrease in volume over the last week. So since last Wednesday, these areas have decreased in volume. Looks like the biggest decrease was up here in Billings, but like I said, you got to take that with a grain of salt because this really isn't taking into account the market size. So Billings could have had like a one load decrease and it changed it 50% or whatever. In the best market, looks like the McAllen market, the Jackson market, Tallahassee, a lot of this stuff, Sioux Falls, has really picked up a little bit. The Lubbock market, we're seeing some more volume there. But the number that we're really looking for is where are we seeing the tender rejections week over week? Where have we seen the largest change in tender rejections? And that's going to be what we're looking at on the height. So anywhere where we're seeing a lot of height is where we really want to send our trucks. And so we're seeing some height here in the Amarillo market. That's just a bad market, though. I mean, you got to take some of this data with a grain of salt. But the Northeast,
I don't know. Be surprised with Amarillo. Amarillo does some interesting things out of there. I had a truck that ran full time out of Amarillo. They have, if you don't mind hauling stinky things in your trailer, they got cow hides that come out of there pretty regularly.
yeah.
Nobody wants to touch those though. But seasonally, they pull a lot of farming produce out of there, and it turns into a pretty big booming market from here until Halloween.
Well,
See a lot of pumpkins and stuff coming out of
you
Amarillo
said
and New Mexico.
you said it right
That's
there.
what I'm.
It's pumpkins. This area right here, this New Mexico area. See how we're seeing some height here. This is where the pumpkins start
Mhm.
coming out, and we're right there. So they really start shipping them, mid-August, September, early September, in anticipation for Halloween. So that's probably
You
why
also
we're
have
seeing,
onions out of the same area, so
yeah. And then now
that's
we
really
have
what you can see the decrease.
we have some onions stuff going on up here too in Idaho. So we should start seeing that. So if you got a reefer or a vented van, book yourself down into this area here. Maybe wait a week or two, but you can definitely profit on the way out as well as the way in. So that may be a little gem for somebody who's looking to run their trucks a little bit west, but you don't want to go into California for all of California's reasons.
I
But
think
yeah,
we froze up.
no. Are you froze up? You did freeze
Maybe
up a little bit.
it's just on my end.
I see you there. You just kind of have a bad connection there. Laredo to Houston dry van carriers average $3.40 all in rate per mile. So the rejection rate to rebound. So if you're running Texas, you can run across state and make some money right now, and that's usually the case. You're gonna make good money going one way, but the other way you're gonna kind of eat it. But if you want to stay in the great state of Texas, it's vast and there's a lot of wiggle room to do that. But what I wanted to bring up, Robert, was last week's competition winner which just happened to
Oh,
be
more than
you.
that.
Happened to be you again. I don't know what you're doing over there. It must be the milk. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm
but
lactose intolerant.
so it's not the milk. It must be the beer.
No.
Um,
Yeah.
anyway, so tell us a little
Nah,
bit.
brother, it's not any of that. It's just a matter of breaking it down to be a simple math equation. We run this game weekly, and it's a matter of finding the most miles in the lanes that pay the most dollar per mile. And that's my dispatching tactic anyhow. Unless you're a guy who wants to run the same track of highway, I'm constantly searching for new markets. We use this information that we gather from you. We have it at our fingertips full time. Also, information that I synthesize myself, just coming from load boards and running national freight. You really get a feel for it. Now, this game's pretty simple, man. You run 600 miles a day at the most dollar per mile, and you got to land in zones that pay. I mean, that's what we're here for as a dispatch company. That's what makes it so easy for me to win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and so you take the criteria that's given to you and you just maximize profits with that criteria. So when we get a new onboard or somebody sign up for a service, they'll typically tell us where they like to run, how they like to run, and then it's up to us to kind of do this and put it together, so that we can really maximize their profits. Tell us a little bit about this run you put together, Johnstown, New York, going to Pittsburgh, PA to Marcy, and this was all in a reefer, and then Rochester to Monmouth, Maine, and then Maine. So you pretty much ran up into Maine, over into Vermont, and then back down into Buffalo. Tell us a
yeah,
little bit about this competition. The trucks. What was the origin city of this truck?
Burlington, Vermont, I think is what it was,
Yeah, it was
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Burlington, Vermont. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're over there in Burlington, Vermont, I mean, you think of the Northeast and no man's land. I once upon a time made a joke: if you got a flatbed up there, the only thing you're going to haul is a lighthouse. But boy, was I surprised. I mean, in a reefer unit, you could do pretty dang well. In this game, we don't necessarily search out what commodity it is. So some of these might be not be desirable loads. Maybe it's chicken, maybe it's ice cream. We don't know the temperatures or anything set on them. But there's lanes that pay well over $4 a mile in and out, and you can run out for 4 or 5 days and be home by the weekend running a lane very similar to this. And I think they profited over what was it, $8,750,
After
and that's
fuel.
with the
Yep.
after fuel at $4 or $4 a gallon is what we do run our fuel at. So if you're running up in the Northeast, it's a hot area to be in. I mean, shoot, I wish I had 12 reefer units up there right now.
Well, and with this
But
competition, we had an option to run West 11 or Northeast in a reefer, and the two top submissions were in the Northeast on a reefer. So it pays better to run the Northeast on a reefer than it does to run West 11. So now we know, right?
here's this thing too. We just started this game about 3 weeks ago. So I think that's was our third or fourth week. So we've been at it for almost a month now, let's just say. And we did this similar competition. We had it a couple more states, but a month ago we were pulling the same dollar per mile in that area. So it's still up. It's been up, and it's a great area to be in if you got a reefer unit and you're running in and out of there, and you like your family and want to be home on the weekends. So
Yeah, because this is just going to kind of run you locally around that area or regionally around that area. So, yeah, that's good.
yeah,
So if you got a reefer and you're in the Northeast, maybe consider running something like this. New York down into PA, PA up into back into New York, up into Maine, and then run yourself back down to New York, Vermont area. You could gross 10 grand with a solo truck running 600 miles a day on average. But actually, you actually were a little less, maybe about 550 a day on average. You can take home 87.50 after your fuel. So not bad, not bad. And congrats on your win there. We'll see who wins it this week. Because we've had a couple guys, you and another one of our dispatchers, coming pretty close every week. So. Anyway, if we're looking at this map and we kind of look at the data here, what we're seeing is that volumes are still up, rates are still up, carriers still have the upper hand here as far as rate negotiations go in most of the country. Now, if you're in the upper Northeast, I mean the Pacific Northwest, or you're down here, in in Nevada or Central California, we're really not seeing, too much strength there, but volumes are still high. So rates haven't really moved for you guys. They just haven't went up, as some places they may have over here. But with that said, I want to look at this. This is a few things. The Senate just approved a $1 trillion, $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. And in that bill, there's a few things that the Department of Transportation is going to be looking at. And one of them is how truck brokers and dispatchers operate, because in the world of dispatching, we see a lot of independent dispatchers with a load board subscription, dispatch for trucks. Not that they're bad dispatchers, but they're not licensed. Here at Four Keys Logistics, we're licensed. We hold a broker authority, and we're bonded with the federal government. We also have a carrier authority. We have all the proper licensing to dispatch trucks and touch the freight in between, whereas a guy who's just working from his, home office with a laptop with none of that may have some new hurdles with the new laws that they're going to be looking at. So a few other things that'll affect you guys too with your trucks. As we kind of learn more, we'll present it to you. But this just happened, so we're kind of just reading into it as it comes out. But there's going to be some new regulations for rear and side underride guards. We did the whole the fairing thing on the trailers, and the carb laws in California, and we'll probably start seeing some more of that federally. So we'll just see what happens. But yeah, that's happening. And then so with the truck broker, with the dispatching thing here, essentially it may make it harder for somebody to just start dispatching trucks independently on their own. So if you're an independent dispatcher out there, pay attention, because this may be a bad thing for you. And if you're using one of these dispatchers, just know that you may run into some issues where truck brokers won't work with your dispatching service, because it's an illegal dispatching service. So if you want one that's not illegal, that's bonded and hold a brokerage authority, give us a call here at Four Keys Logistics. Check us out online, fourkeyslogistics.com. We have a lot of good information on there. We're rolling out a new program here in the next 6 months here that's really going to benefit you independent dispatchers as well as you truck drivers looking for a good dispatch service. So with that said, I don't know, you have any last words you want to add in here, Bob, before we jump off of here?
Let's check out the weather real quick, man. Let's see what's going on across the country. I've seen a few different forecasts for some rain and all that good stuff. So let's help some guys out.
Yeah, I think
we don't have one of those awesome screens, but we do have some sonar that
well, I do. I wonder if I can lay the
us.
weather. I just laid the weather over here. It takes a second for it to really bring that in. Let me see here. Oh, right here, radar. Let's see what we're looking at here for weather on our radar. Well, that looks clear as a bell. But we know that's not the case. Hold on, let me bring up our critical events page. I think that's going to give us some. Oh, it just started loading now. But we're going to go to the critical events page here, and we're going to look at. I know we had some fires out west that were affecting some of the trucks. Every year about this time, we end up with fires in the west that will derail trucks.
California, boy, we had a lot of smoke sitting over the San Joaquin Valley for the last few days. Yesterday and today was the first day that we actually got to see some sky, and yeah, so
Good.
it's yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for this to load, let's talk about maybe another hot lane somebody could look at. Ontario to Dallas. I know we talked about this one last week, but we're seeing a increase in the shipments coming into the Port of Long Beach in Los Angeles. It's actually up quite a bit compared to what it was last year, and I'll just bring this in here while we're waiting for that to load. But you can see the shipments are up. Outbound tender rejections are kind of falling a little bit in Ontario. But this should be a good lane for somebody to run. It's still, with the increased volumes in Ontario, a good time to kind of run your truck on that lane. And I know a lot of carriers like that, especially coming into winter. They want to stay out of. Let me refresh this. It's not liking me. They want to stay out of the snow and the weather up north. So we see carriers every year want to run the 40, or 40 or below the 40 rather than running up north. And if we're talking about that, because I don't know if this is going to load for us or not, Bob, we'll give it another few minutes here. But if we're talking about that, if you're one of those carriers that likes to run the southern states in the winter, you can expect your rates to decrease significantly, because there are a lot of trucks, and we have a lot of them on our service, that they want to do that as well. So when you're competing with a lot of other trucks doing the same thing, you're going to be up against competition. So if you don't mind snow and you can run in the snow, it's really not that big a deal. It's going to pay you well to stay north, or maybe run loads from the south to the north. That way you're kind of half and half, because the other trucks won't be doing it. As far as weather goes, I think we're SOL here on the weather. I can.
Great news, everybody. There's not going to be any rain across the country. All those hurricanes, they're done. So we're good.
Good. All right. Well, tomorrow we'll try to bring you some weather here. We're just kind of getting back on the ball here, trying to get our Truckin' with Bob show back on the air. So we'll be back tomorrow, same time. And we'll have some weather updates at that point. We'll make sure we include that into our show. So if you took anything away from here, a couple hot lanes you can run, which is going to be Ontario to Dallas, and if you're in the state of Texas, Laredo to Houston. I remember talking about last week, the money's going to be in Texas. It's going to come out of the southeast and go into Texas, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So it's kind of amazing how we can see these things before they happen. But we can. We use these tools. We look at tender rejections and we look at volumes, and we try to go against the flow. You don't want to send your truck into Atlanta when everybody else is sending their truck into Atlanta. You want to send your truck away from Atlanta, because you're not going to find any freight. And Bob, I think you ran into that last week too. We had a truck over in Atlanta, and we were fighting against every other carrier in Atlanta for loads that day. We couldn't call on a load quick enough because 3 other carriers were ahead of us every single time. So you don't want to do that. You just
quite a while.
Yeah, you get stuck. So and you take a less than desirable rate to do it. But anyway, with that said, we're gonna wrap it up. We'll see you again tomorrow. If you're looking for a good dispatch service, like I said, check us out. 4keyslogistics.com. Subscribe. Hit the like button. We'll be here every day trying to provide some information to you guys, trying to keep it under 20 minutes. Something you can just hop on here while you're waiting to get loaded or waiting to unload. Get some market information. Figure out where you want to run your truck. And if you have any questions, you want to talk to us a little bit about what we can do for your company, give us a call or go to our website there and get all the information. You can submit an email to us through the website and contact us there. All our contact information's there. So with that said, we're going to wrap it up, and we'll see you tomorrow.